Alrighty. I think we're on. Alright, well, I've got this Typhus model, and let me scoot some things around here so I can see what I'm doing. Yoink. So I did this guy a while back, and I still haven't based him, and I picked up this the other day, did a very awesome stream for about 2 people of putting one of these models together, painting it from scratch with just the stuff in the box. That was fun. It's a push together model. What I'm going to do is take some of the spare parts and I'm going to make a base for this guy with some ultramarine bits. Let me actually grab my clippers because I'm not going to use toenail clippers this time. Alrighty. So, I think what I'm going to do, if I'm looking at this the right way, I think the best marine to use is number 3. So, let's see, let's put this guy together. 15, 16, 17. This is going to be so much easier. I last night only used the stuff in the box and then stuff I could find in my home. So only one brush last time, which was the beginner's brush. It was a good lesson. Brought me back to basics. Pop this head out. Now, I don't know that I'm going to use the whole model, but I'm going to at least get the parts looking at each other and see what I can use. Optimally, to be a case where, snip that, where I can take Typhus here and get some model so that he's like either underfoot or hanging like this, maybe right there. Maybe put his head in his hand, something gory like that. Should be fun. Let's see, 19 and 20. It should make for a pretty interesting base. Typhus is going to be the warlord of my army. I've already decided I'm not going to do Mortarion. I did pick up a Titan, or not Titan, Tyrant. A Knight Tyrant that I'm going to paint up in Death Guard colors. But I'll still need a warlord, and that will be Typhus. So he needs a rad base. Alright, so I got my fiddly bits. Scoop that over somewhere else. Can get rid of that too. Sand some things down. Shut my phone off. I don't need to take the trash out tonight, thankfully, because it is a holiday. Which is also a rare time to be able to scoot you over there. Do some painting. Which I kind of miss. I haven't done a ton of painting in the last few weeks. I did get Typhus done. He was a chore. He's a really fun model. I don't know if the light will actually show it, but I did put, he's got glitter on him. Yeah, all of his warpy bug stuff has glitter on him. If you're morbidly curious on how and why that happened, I did post a video on it. You could subscribe and see all my shenanigans, but honestly, I hate asking for that. It's silly. Alright, so I'm clipping out little parts here and there, giving this guy sand. Looking over my shoulder, making sure I'm not being followed. That's good. Get this little head going. I'm not going to prime this guy because he's a piece of basing bits. Just going to paint him straight up. There's a little extra to clip off here. If you are new to this whole model painting business, when I first got started, I really paid almost no attention to this step. I didn't sand anything down. I did kind of a haphazard job clipping everything. And I don't feel bad about that. I was just getting started a few months ago, but But now I'm showing a little bit more care. This is not just a Poxwalker, which I have 30 now. This is for the boss man's base. And scuff that up a little bit. Go over here, that's good, that's good. I think pretty close to all set. And of course, I will paint this guy as a proper ultramarine, but then he's going to get covered in grime because everybody gets grimy. That's good stuff. All right, so following these things in order. Bam, bam, and the head goes in there. How does the head go in there? Oh, it's just peg on the bottom, so the head goes in like... Do I want to put the head in? Therein lies the question. I'm not going to put the head in to start. I'll plunk it in there at the end if I need to, and I can clip that little nugget off of there if need be, but his head might be missing, which I think would be properly gnarly. Alright, so no glue on these guys. These parts just quote-unquote fit. That's actually not bad. The Death Guard champions that I did once were kind of a pain, and they didn't fit together so well. Am I missing an arm? I feel like I'm missing an arm. 19. Make sure I'm not missing an arm. Not that it really matters, because... Yeah, 19. Because I am potentially only using parts of this, but... Might as well clip it out. There we go. Alright. Put that stuff over there. And I really had to like jury rig this desk to possibly be able to paint at it. I really should set this up right. But let's see here. Give this a little scuffing over here. That looks good. All right. Well, so, and I do need to take that nugget. There's a little hex on his boot, which is where it would normally go into a base if he was going to be in my army. But you, my friend, serve a much higher purpose, and that went flying across the room. Hopefully nobody lost an eye. Alright, get this. Normally you don't have to go too crazy with the bottom of these feet, but he's not standing on a base. Not standing on a base at all, so do a good job there. It's also going to be weird because you can't really put him in a holder. He's not going to be based, so I'm going to just do a sloppy job with my hands, but this guy will get all junked up soon enough. So I'm thinking, do I snip the gun off? Do I snip the gun off? Why don't we do that? That's a terrible idea, but heck, why not? That's a terrible idea. I don't even know how I'll do that without wrecking the gun. Yeah, just like that. Casualties of war. Alrighty. Get this back. This is actually a thing called, I think it's called a twig. It's good for sanding, but it's got a lot of bend to it. And it fits into a bunch of tiny little spots. Really nice way. It's great for sanding down parts that are in between areas that are tough to get to. Basically, it's got a good amount of bend to it. So I've actually like bent it at about, I don't know, maybe 20 degrees and sort of flossed with it before. All right, we're just gonna sand this guy down. That's probably good enough. There we go. All right, so even if he's on his back, let's see here. This would go like this. Normally, that would be his hand. If he's lying like a corpse, could be lying like that. Go over the boot. It's going to be hanging off of this thing. All right. Just make sure that there's no other weird puzzle piece where he could just be like marching over the guy. Head in hand. At which point it makes sense. I might actually have to glue this. I will glue it. I'll grab some glue. All right. In for a penny, in for a pound. I haven't used this glue in forever. You want to take bets on how likely it is to actually come out of here. It's not. I shouldn't use my teeth on that. That's a terrible idea. Well, we'll fix that later. Take some more snips on this guy. He's basically going to have one arm. That goes away. Manage my cables. All right, I'll sand that down a little bit more. And here we go. That should fit on there like that. Sounds good. Glob some of this on. Give it a dab. And we'll just hold that guy in place. Still not clear if he'll be headless. And I'm still unclear as to whether or not I'm going to put this back piece on him. Might actually be better if I just kill this post. We'll find out when we get there. Yep. This arm has no hand. But that's fine. If his head's removed, his hand's removed, and I make them nice and gory, then it'll be as if he got swiped trying to put his hand over his head. All right. So, in theory, it could be like that behind him. I would have to fill that in with something. And then take this head. You know what? I'm really not. I was thinking about taking the head, putting it in his hand like that. That's kind of corny. Is it? I don't know. That could be dope. I will have to find a way to fill in that neck bit. Yeah, it's kind of dope. Away you go. I don't know. Do one more check to see how the body looks. If it's behind him like this, it's like he just defeated the guy. And he's like, oh man, what a day I'm having. There's a big hole there. If I put the head in there, put the head in his hand, If I drop the head on the ground, it'll be miserable. There we go. Thankfully, I didn't do that. All right. Question is, head held in hand like this, body line behind him. I should put the backpack on. Sure, why not? Or, yeah, Bronco. Indeed, it's definitely calling him out. Yeah, I think it is going to be cool. This guy basically looks like his hands got knocked off by that scythe. I might have to put some blood on the scythe. Let you sit there and dry. And then, yeah, I'll put the head in the hand. Why not? It's gory. It'll be a good time. So basically, most of what I'm going to do here is just paint blue, 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 blue. Smurfing, smurfing, smurfing. In fact, I'm going to step back here and get a more beat up brush so that'll go faster. Yep, 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 yep. Ye old beginner brush from last night. Served me well. I don't know how I actually painted in the fiddly bits last night on the Ultramarine that I did, but I managed to get it done. Basically, how am I going to do this? He's not attached to anything. Well, we'll find out. Get a little water on this thing. I guess I could sit him in some sticky stuff on this. It seems so crazy. So crazy it just might work. All right, back again. If you're one of the 8 million, and by that I mean 1 or 2 people checking this out, you'll find out very quickly that I am pretty new to this whole business. But that is the Infernus Marine that I did out of the starter box. I'm not that new. I've been painting for a few months, but I decided to get the starter box because I wanted some ultras to use, and I wanted to see if I could get back to sort of the beginning and paint with just the starter brush and the few paints that came in the box. And it was actually a lot of fun. I don't know how well that had stuck in there, but we're going to find out. So I have not primed this guy. He's part of the landscape. That should be fine. Yeah, just doing this quick. I'm really going to hit him only with the same colors that I used last night, which are, I think the only color I didn't use was black out of the box. I got bad news. I literally got these ultras for this base and for the project of doing these brand new. It happens. There's plenty of Ultramarines. I've actually warmed up to them lore-wise, so get a really good book arc where the Death Guard play sort of second fiddle villains. I don't know if you read them, but it's the whole Plague Wars thing, and it teaches you a lot about Rabute Gilliman and what he's like, and what Typhus is like. Yeah, Terminators from Leviathan. All I have done so far is Death Guard stuff up till last night. Typhus is my big jam. I've got 30 Poxwalkers, which is an absolute marathon, but that taught me tons of stuff. I've got a Plague Burst Crawler that I painted to look like steak. Yes, you heard me right. This guy I'm just going to use my hands on. I've got a little bit more than, I think I've got exactly 7 Plague Marines. Some of them are champions. I thought I was getting the better champions. I don't know what I'm going to fill that with. I'll do it later. But I got kind of ripped off. But anyway, they're still cool. So yeah, 7 Plague Marines, Plague Burst Crawler, some Poxwalkers. I basically have the Combat Patrol box plus a Poxwalker. I just picked up a Night Tyrant that I'm going to do in Death Guard colors. that will be my biggest challenge. So at the end of all of this poor guy's going to get covered in grime, so don't worry about how sloppy I'm being here. This is not that I'm any good, but I'm normally a little bit more careful than this. But anyway, I highly recommend the Plague Wars books. Mortarian's kind of bratty the whole time. That's why I'm not adding him to my army, because I'm petty. I didn't like him in the books. Typhus tells him off repeatedly. He's like, don't forget who you work for, buddy. But they're really good books. You get a lot of really good Nurgle stuff in there, because demons come out to play. And then Mortarion gets shut down, because he's all ego. My emo guy. The battle at the end is pretty amazing. And there's a bunch of subplots in that whole, I think it's a 3-part book series. It's really, really cool stuff. There's this guy who is the like faith militant, basically the chief of church relative to Rabute. He actually names the guy, and then the guy ends up going on this crazy religious crusade at the end, and it's really a mess. It's good stuff. So yeah, I've been into Warhammer for I think 4 months now. Total midlife crisis. I'm not new to the IP in terms of Mortarion kills Gilliman? He gets close. Maybe he actually does. But then he loses. In the end. There's a massive fight at the end. And there is the God Blight, and he gives him the God Blight. I hope people don't mind spoilers. Well, there's only 4 of you. I'm sure I'll survive. I love you all, by the way. You guys are awesome. I had 2 concurrent people last night. I was over the moon. Now I don't know what to do. He infects him with the God Blight. But he survives. And he gets up. And he's like, this isn't even my final form. Yeah, Big E. It's interesting also because throughout all 3 books, Rabute's like doing the Ultramarine thing. It was my first understanding of it, where they're like, hypothetical, practical, and they logically work their way through a bunch of stuff. And he's arguing with himself the whole time. He's like, is my dad a god? Or is he not? Or is he? Or is he not? Which I thought was pretty cool. I was surprised I liked Gilliman. He's like poster child of a lot of stuff, but the books were written really well. Not as amazing as The Lords of Silence, which I have spent a whopping 2.5 hours on the internet yapping about. If you can tell, I sort of got into Warhammer and went a little nuts with it. Right now I'm reading the start of the Horus Heresy stuff. I've read the first of the final trilogy of the, whatever it is, War on Terra. Basically, after the Horus Heresy, the last set of books where it's like, hey, Horus showed up. They're dragging that out to 3 books, but it's good stuff. Anyway, I'm rambling a little bit, but I don't know how I'm going to do this. I'm like painting my hand into a corner. It's funny, like I'm ambitious with painting, but I'm a total idiot when it comes down to it. There's like things I didn't plan for, which I guess I have the excuse. Yeah, the first 5 from the Heresy are amazing, Bronco. Ah, so good. So good. I don't know if I'm on all 5 of them. I just finished up with Garrow, getting home and getting recruited after that long journey. But man, I absolutely loved those books. They're like crazy good. And I feel for everyone. Like I even have sympathy for Horus. I don't like the Emperor. I get him, and he's an amazing character for books. But man, that Emperor, we get thumbprints all over this thing like an idiot. That's all right. They'll all get washed away. The amount of either Agrax, Earthshade, or Nuln Oil, or AK Slimy Green that I put on this thing is not going to make any difference with whatever handprints I got. I might actually have to grab my other project because this guy's going to need to dry a bit. and y'all got me talking about books. Man, those first books of the Horus Heresy are amazing. I have a theory that Henry Cavill in his Warhammer series is going to play Loken. I'll tell you why that's my theory. One, if I'm remembering correct, from the book at the end, all the way at the end in the Siege of Terra stuff, Loken's still around. And he was there as one of the more human-like Space Marines at the beginning. So he's got this like alpha and omega part of it. And he's an excellent person to have sort of represent the camera view of a TV show. So that's my guess, that Henry Cavill will play Garviel Loken, who starts right in the thick of things, right next to Horus, gets initiated right out the gate. I'll be right back. I'm walking away from the mic, but I just got to grab my water. There we go. Oh, and behold, I got to wash my brush. Of course, that would require, I know where I put it. Yeah, Loken would be an excellent character to play, because you can basically do flashbacks to the beginning of the Horus Heresy and the very end. You could go all the way through that whole thing, get a perfect camera shot view into the methods that started it, like the lodges, these wonderful little fraternal orders they have going on that are no big deal. It's kind of like a ritual. Body then glued to the base. Keep the helmet separate. Yeah, I have a serious problem with being smart about this stuff, but I am learning. Show it in the video. I actually painted Typhus here, all put together. Now, the smart human being would be like, hey, maybe this whole thing on the back, you paint that separate. No, it's big dummy. I'm learning. I'm getting better. When I do this Night Tyrant, it's all going in parts. I'm going to use magnets so I can swap the weapons out. But yeah, it's a challenge. This stuff is, like, I do watch videos of people that are really, really good, but I'll be honest, they're kind of intimidating. And I'm one of those, like, learn by doing people. Oof, all right. This guy does need to dry a bit, but he looks like a good victim. All right, I'll clean this brush up. I do need to learn to build in parts. Playburst Crawler, another great example of a model that, like, yeah, you can leave some of the parts separate. I have definitely enjoyed it. I don't plan on ever being a master of painting, but I do want to play the game and get my stuff table ready. It's still damp. So I want to get there. I definitely want to get there. But man, as a midlife crisis hobby, never really been into cars. Warhammer's pretty good. It's like endless. I believe I read that the Horus Heresy series of books, I think it's by word, is like the longest book series ever written by mankind. Put that in your proverbial pipe and smoke it. All right, so what's left to do on this guy, if I'm very gentle with him, is I got to get the upside down chevron-y thing and the Ultramarine symbol. And I can't believe, I don't know if you could see this, but I actually I don't want to say nailed it, that's egotistical, but I actually did okay with those things with the beginner's brush, which is it's already hooked. But now I have some slightly better brushes because I'm not doing everything with the beginner set tonight. So we can do some Corax white and some Balthasar gold. Still don't know what I'm going to fill that in with, but I'll figure something. Maybe I'll just put so much, so much blood for the blood god paint in that empty hole that it'll just fill it in. Why not? You're going to find out really quickly how not great I am at painting when I start doing anything that has any detail whatsoever. But we're going to do it. I got to be careful I don't turn Typhus blue. Be like the ultimate betrayal of that model. Whew. All right. Oh my god, this is devastating. So gentle. Scooch that thing over. Yeah, I already screwed that up pretty badly. But I like making mistakes. I do learn from them. My first models, I was so slow and meticulous and knew nothing. Poxwalkers were absolutely brutal. And they're so tiny. They're like so small. Like you think these guys are small. Poxwalkers are like smaller base, smaller stature. Oh, come on. Just get the tip of that V gently. It looks kind of ruddy, but it's okay. Joined with 6th edition. That's awesome. Oh, speaking of Necrons, another book. Yeah, I'm all in. There's a great book about these two Necron guys that I'm reading right now, which is absolutely awesome. I'm actually going to do an essay on it and post it whenever I get to it, but editing those things takes so long. I love the Necron models. I absolutely love them. Yes, The Infinite and the Divine is an amazing book. I have a theory about it. I have a really good theory about it, um, which I guess I'll spoil for. Oh my God, there's 5 people here. Jesus, better be on my best behavior. My theory about that book is that it's actually about 2 types of Warhammer players, and that the 2 main characters in it are archetypes of Warhammer players, where one is a collector, loves dioramas, loves the history and the lore, and the other main character, they're both Necrons, is the math nerd, um, rules lawyer trying to see into the future. There's a lot of points in that book where those themes come up. And so while the book has its own plot, it's not literally doing that. Thematically, I think what the author does is you playing with the 2 types of people that are into 40K. And if you go back and read the book, it's like it's painfully apparent in some spots where one of them knows like exactly every little tiny piece of lore detail. So if you haven't read it, it's one Necron dude. He's basically like running a whole planet, and the entire planet is like his personal museum, and he just has Necron servants just building out rooms, building out rooms, building out rooms, and he goes around the known universe and collects stuff. So he's got a room that's like he's got dioramas, except that they're real people in stasis, and he collects. I mean, they were talking over tens of thousands of years. So he's got a room where like a bunch of orcs are just like, I don't know, I don't even remember who they were fighting. They might not have been fighting. It might have just been some crazy big pose thing. But there's like ships, whole ships in this room, not the huge ones. All these orcs posed like mid fight. There's one point in the book where this character, this Necron guy, is the collector. He actually pokes fun at how many chapters of Space Marines there are. He pokes fun at the fact that the Horus Heresy is like his favorite thing to collect, and that he's gone back to like Istvan, I think it was 5, and he just like finds helmets lying around and stuff like that. It's very, very interesting how it treats these 2 characters. I think that's probably good enough. But yeah, that's my theory, is that a little piece of that book is sort of a love memento to players. And while I have yet to play my first game of 40K, I'm 1 model away from my combat patrol being done. So soon. I have a long history with games in general. I've been a game designer professionally for almost 20 years, and I've been nerding out playing games since as long as I can remember, since like ColecoVision. Uh, and I definitely lean away from the rules lawyery side of stuff and into the I collect a bunch of stuff, and I think he might have a Kronk. I think he might. There's one point in the book where they fight something huge, and I think he says he's going to like go back and grab it. Um, it's really, I mean, it's one of my favorite parts of 40K is like everything is on this scale that is just obscene. If you had tens of thousands of years and like near godlike powers, and you wanted to collect stuff, you just tell your peons to make a room big enough to hold it. Is that holding on there? His arms are on good. Yeah. Yoink. It's the amount of stuff is insane. He's got a whole like Horus Heresy room with like all these different chapters and all these different poses. Oh yeah, you screwed that up. Yeah, thankfully blue heals all. It's really cool stuff. But he treasures his collection, and the other guy treasures being right and timely and powerful. So you get this interesting sort of essay on not all players, but two of the types that you definitely run into in almost any competitive game. I am a little unnerved doing this, but I'm okay. One thing I realized last night is that because I've only done Death Guard stuff, like what a treat it is to paint straight lines. It's a challenge. Oof, there we go. He has a clone of Fulgrim. That's awesome. Yeah, I mean, think about that. From being on the outside of all of that, just being like, yep, this is my hobby. Got my minis in space from real space history. Anywho, yeah, I haven't had to paint this many straight lines ever, painting all the models I've done. I'm very good with tentacles and weird spiked horns, and I'm very good with guys who look like they've been playing in the dirt forever. I am not very good at this. Wow, yeah, this guy is not primed. That blue just came right off there. That's all right. We're going to grime you up, homie. I'm going to hit you with a little bit more Balthasar gold on some of the metal parts here just to make you a little more interesting. Before I grind the daylights out of you. Get the inside of these vents. But yeah, the books are crazy. My journey, which is actually what my whole channel's about. I only just started doing this streamy stuff last night. All right, we'll do some black for the bags. I have pre-recorded stuff that I do VO for all the stuff that I've painted. I've got essays going. I lost my mind. The first book that I read was The Lords of Silence. The first 40K book. It's an amazing book if you haven't read it. It's from the perspective of the Death Guard. And I had already chosen them as like my crew. And I read that book and I just lost it. I think I have like 3 hours of me just babbling about that book. And then I got into doing essays, and then I post some video game garbage as well. Black. It's over here. Oh, so good. Yeah, The Infinite and the Divine is just absolutely fabulous book. I think I'm just about done with it. I'm like in the last big fight. I know there's still plenty of pages left, but the sort of big reveal at the end I'd be reading it if I wasn't here with you people. But I am glad that I am here with you people. Because you guys are fun. I will say, like, 40K has just been an amazing thing to get into. Like, I know there's obviously probably some hosers out there, but everybody that I've met and talked about stuff with is just like genuinely excited about it. I've even posted some like pretty silly stuff in Ultimate Epic Battle Simulator, just 'cause I found some mods with some Warhammer stuff in it. People just come out of the woodwork. Like the first video I posted, it was pretty cool. But like you get to meet a lot of really awesome people as a result of it. It's like as a hobby, if you find someone else who's into it, like you're in for a treat, which I think is really neat. But like you find out really quick that like everybody's got their favorite thing going on, favorite faction. All right, well that's pretty good. I think it's gonna be time. I'm gonna let you rest like that, buddy. Pull out the big guns. We need blood for the blood god. The reason I keep getting up is because my actual painting setup is way over there behind me. But this allows me to sit close enough to my computer so I can actually see what I'm doing and talk to y'all. Hopefully this is the last thing I've forgotten. Yeah, I agree, Bronco. Like even just going into the stores that I've gone into, like you talk to people and they're just super warm about it, and like even if they're not into the same models you are, they're like psyched for you. It's like there's definitely a solid like one of us vibe. And I do watch a decent amount of YouTube videos from people just cause like I mean even like I understand the rules. I haven't played yet, so I'm not like good with the rules. But like, I'll watch like Auspex Tactics and just get a kick out of the guy, even though he's like very like monotone and cerebral. I still like enjoy his sense of humor. I'm gonna have to find something to pack in there, and I don't have any of whatever that stuff is called, green stuff. I gotta find a way to plug that up. Oh, blood for the blood god is working. I could throw a couple maggots in there. What do you think about that? You guys know I have artisanal, locally sourced model maggots, right? I'm not kidding. I'll dig them out. I'm not even kidding that they're locally sourced. The dude that makes them, I found out he lives like 10 miles from me. And I just put a bunch of gore in there. Oh. Oh, that looks gnarly. Get some on your hand there. Oh man, what a day this guy's having. I have so embraced my inner 12-year-old. Because no one can stop me because I'm like 46 years old. It's like, I have a job. I have kids. They go to bed. I paint toys. Oh, so much fun. I'm going to go find my maggots because I'm going to need them. And I'll grab my basic material while I'm there. Actually, let me take a look. So I've got this AK slimy, grime, dark stuff. Once this guy's stuck onto that base, I'll hit him with some of this. I don't even know if I'll be able to do all of this tonight. I'll try to rush through it. Y'all are being so nice. I gotta shake the daylights out of this. So he'll get grimed up with that. He's got to get some agrax first, so he gets a little bit of contrast in there. Not even contrast, a little bit of shading. Actually, the grime will probably do it. Put some basing material on there. Drop some maggots in there. Is there anything else I need? I don't need to add any skulls to this, do I? Maybe I will. I got a box of skulls. Ooh. Yeah, 30K stuff is absolutely wild. All right, bear me 1 second. Most of my stuff's organized. I think I'll be away for like 30 seconds. Here we go. The big box of basing materials. Big old tub, basing dirt. Big old bin, labeled basing. I don't think I need any shrubs. Don't think I need any skulls. But I do need a bag of maggots. So happy I found this guy. All right. And no, I am not sponsored, but we'll give this guy some free love. Yeah, this guy's name is Mr. Clay Rotten on Etsy. Totally awesome. I still kept his personalized note when I ordered essentially what looks like a drug baggie of modeling maggots. Every Death Guard person should have these on hand. So I'm going to put some maggots in in the brainstem, where his head should be. Terrible, 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 terrible. I don't know if these guys are going to stick. I don't need a lot of them. Okay, now I've separated out some. All right, so that's going to be wet for a bit. In theory, he sits behind like that, and then I just have to get the head to sit in his hand, and I can grime him while he's down. So I could glue him on right now. I don't know if that's a good idea or a terrible one. But it does fit there kind of nice. I think. I'm going to actually have to hold him on here quite a bit. All right. And then I'll add the maggots pouring out, of course. All right. Once you take a good look at it, then you're like, oh, I know exactly where the maggots go. That silly person I've become. All right, so if I line this up like this. Oh, yeah, that's a choice. Looks like you just stomped right over. All right. So, hopefully the glue. Oh my God, yeah, the glue does come out of this thing. Whoa. That's a hectic amount of glue for a hectic job. Oh. And now I have to sit here with my hands like this. Or do I? Is he just going to sit? I should inspect. It's going to be so funny when I go back and check this poor dude, and it's going to be like, yo, man, you got red and blue all over your Typhus. Get that drop in there. Give it a little scooch. It's actually pretty rad. Ugh. And then he'll get a decent amount of this diorama effects stuff creeping over. It'll also help set the model in. I'll get some on his boots, make him dirty. And that Blood for the Blood God paint, A, looks very much like blood. B, does not dry quickly. I have to put some blood on Typhus's hand. It's kind of a shame, but I will do it. It's art, you know. It's art. Let me check this ordeal. Alright, so that glue is hardening. Let me... Do I dare? Can I do two things at once? Can I walk and chew gum at the same time? In the interest of time, I will try it. Alright. Glue on. Nope, that did not work. Oh, this is going to be awesome. I'm going to get this glue all over my hand, get the helmet stuck to my hand, get my hand stuck to this whole thing. Tweezer time. So yeah, I have bought a lot of garbage to help me paint my dumb models. I have no regrets. Tweezers are dope. Of course, no, I'm not holding that together well. I will be sitting here for quite some time. Come on, buddy. Play nice. And now it's sticking to the tweezers. Oh, what an amazing piece of work you are, buddy. Gently. Now we hold our breath. I can pay attention now. All right, so that head's in there. Back's attached. Not on there great, but it's on there. Got my maggots at the ready. I might need to dip a little more glue underneath this guy's shoulder. There we go. Now if I'm patient, which I'm not really, this should sit here just like this. Go. I'm just going to set him down gently. All right. Whew, that was exciting. Now, I should go back and read what you guys wrote. Rylanor. Who the heck is Rylanor? We have this trusty computer over here as well. It's so funny because I know a lot about a little in 40K. Like if you ask me about Vorks, I'm like, oh, I know all this stuff. Oh, that dude looks cool. Wait a second. Rylanor was... he's in the... is he the guy that goes out in the bombing? Rylanor is the dreadnought at when Istvan 3 gets virus bombed, right? So many names. I know this guy looks familiar. Yeah, he drops in Salt Tarvitz. Okay, now I remember who Rhinor is. Yeah, that dude was great. Good sense of humor. Grim. A little bit of gravel to look like rubble. That's a good point. Let me see what I got. Let's see what I got. Do-do-do-do. Gravel. Good call. Appreciate it. Don't want to go too nuts, but I got skulls if I need them. I don't think it's going to be required. I think an entire extra model on this guy is probably enough to prove my point. Oh, he survives. I don't know if I knew that. I don't know that I have gotten far enough in the books to see him again. I think last I left him was on Istvan 3. I think. It's literally like the moment where they're like, he's hugging it out with some other dude. And the bombs go off. I thought that book was great too. Oh man. Yeah, the start of that series is fascinating. And when you think about how challenging it must have been for the authors, if you read the afterwards on several of those books, I think the first three are all by different authors, or at least 3 out of the 4 are. They all talk about it like, hey, Games Workshop came up and was like, or Black Library was like, hey, we're gonna do this thing. Do you want to get involved? And it's like this massive, looming lore arc that's only been snippets of it. It's don't worry about spoilers. I appreciate your sentiment. Don't worry about spoilers at all. I'm going to go through this stuff. It is actually kind of hard to read. It's not hard to read these books, but it's hard to read these books without spoilers because the media has blown up so much in terms of Warhammer, that you always go into it with a certain grain of salt, of knowing some things, even just from playing the games. When I say the games, I mean video games. You just learn a lot. It's all been foreign to me in like disparate elements of stuff. Is this sticking? Oh, it's kind of sticking. It's kind of sticking. Yeah, the loyalists are really interesting. I'm like so not a fan of Mortarion. It just seemed like so casually to get involved in all this stuff, and I'm familiar with his backstory, but even then, like, it's just kind of like grumpy dad issues. Even going into like the whatever it was the 13th Crusade when they bust out of the eye. Um, like he's flying around in a ship with his like adoptive father from Barbarous, that guy's head in like a jar and like laughing at him. He's a total hypocrite. It's like don't rely on the warp and do psyker stuff, but I'm gonna like ritually sacrifice like 7 of my guys and try to bind a demon. He's just moody. He's so moody. His model's gorgeous, and I'm terrified of it. So that's the other reason that I'm not going to do it. But I also just feel like um, I enjoy him as a character. I just don't like him. He's like one of the least fun, interesting Death Guard. All right. Can I move this at all? Nope. Still drying. Maybe I will take some of this time and just let that guy sit for now. Grab something else that I can make some forward progress on. I do have a bug. It's not a nid. Well, it technically is a nid, but it's not a nid. I'll be right back. Grab it over here. Yeah, I do think it's important, and I know the authors know this. Like a lot of their characters are intentionally like so fallible, so fallible. Like the Emperor, possibly most so, but like Mortarian's like looks wicked cool, but he's a total mess of a person. And I don't really buy into the whole like I wanted to kill my mean stepdad, dad. Why did you do it for me? Like she's like, man, can you ever get over anything? So I one of my kids plays in a D&D group through the library, and they got these cool little models. So I painted this one a while ago. It's a Extonid or Extonid or Exonid or something like that. Um, that's the queen. Now I got to remember how I painted it. But while Typhus dries over there, I'm just going to do some basic stuff on this dude in the meantime. Played a game against both Magnus and Martin. I like Magnus a lot. Um, it is funny though. Like I'm pretty sure Magnus could have just rather than going into the Emperor's like main lab, he probably could have gone through the warp and gone to I don't know Mars, got on a telephone. But hey, what can you do? Sickle Burgundy? No. Sugar Bloodshade? Maybe it's Burgundy. Let's find out. Wherein I tried to replicate something I did a long time ago. This brush is not too beat up. I think I got that right. Yeah, Mortarion, I'm just like, I don't know. I've dealt with enough ultra moody people in my life that I'm not sure I want to lead him on a table. Typhus, no problem with. Guy knows exactly what he's about. He's a complete garbage, cruel human being, but like, man, he's not lying to himself. He's not a hypocrite. He's kind of funny sometimes. He was born to be a servant of chaos. I think it's hilarious that anyone is like, oh man, he betrayed everyone. It's like, man, that guy was a complete brutalist the whole time. Like, I don't even think he needed chaos to I mean, obviously to like get a destroyer hive thing, but like, he was the way the other Death Guard talk about him in the first few books of the Horus Heresy, they're like, yeah, that guy's got problems. He's just like known for being vicious amongst one of the toughest legions out there. Yeah, exactly. Like, do your thing, man. Like, don't do it in my face, but Typhus is like the real deal. He just wants to move up the ranks. He gets out there. He fights. He doesn't talk all the time while he's fighting. Mortan is like got the classic. Well, I mean, it was the Plague War stuff. He's the big bad, so he's got to do some exposition. But like, man, when he's talking to Gilliman at the end of that, I was like, dude, you should just stab him with that freaking poison you've had. Was it Kugath? Klugath? Making for like 3 books. It's like brewing this thing for 3 books. Just stab him with it. Stop talking. It's funny though, and they know it. They like the authors. They absolutely know when they talk about the Emperor. They're like, you're really never supposed to know the guy. Like you're not. Um, yeah, I know, but like that's a total Typhus thing to do. He's like, I'm uh, take the whole crew. Like I'll navigate for us. Don't you worry. He's hand delivered him. Like he's good. I guess what I like about him is he's pretty effective. He doesn't trip over himself too much. He follows orders. Maybe Mortarion should have ordered him not to be so mean. This bug's neat. It's funny, my daughter got a base for this, and I painted the base as a totally separate project because I didn't even know that this thing existed like a few months ago. She's like, could you paint this for me? I was like, it's just a circle with some rocks on it. She's like, yeah, but I want it. I'm like, all right. Yeah, Typhus is dope. I don't know. I do recognize, and I have read a bunch about the rules, that like the Death Guard are a really rough spot rules wise right now. Apparently on the 7th, so it's like 5 days from now, there's a rules drop coming, and it looks like on Twitter they use Death Guard in the picture, so maybe they get an update, but I still don't have a combat patrol, so it's not really my problem yet. But my 2,000 point army that I'm working towards, I'm mainly putting it together to learn the game. And so I'm doing a lot of very deliberate things. I'm making sure I'm not tapping into all the rules all at once. I'm taking no Terminators. 0. Not doing it. Yeah, everyone who's not Eldar's in a rough spot. Yeah, so I've heard. So I have heard. Um, I'm taking all Plague Marines as far as like, well, I guess I don't know if Poxwalkers are battle line, but I'm gonna take Typhus with 20 Poxwalkers. Just get myself into that routine of bringing those guys back and screening with a bunch of little guys. That'll teach me a good lesson because I have never done that. And then I'm going to take Plague Marines because they're affordable, but I'm going to give them Chaos Lords without Terminator armor. Yeah, that's true. Well, okay, so he follows orders of Nurgle. He doesn't give a hoot about Mortarion. He knows who the real boss is. No, he definitely does not follow Mortarion's orders, much to Mortarion's chagrin. And I'll try a few special, leadery things in my army, but not a ton. I'm probably going to run with 3 Plague Burst Scrawlers. And I'm just going to shell people because the way I figure it, other people are going to be better at spending command points than I am. So I'm just going to try to battle shock the daylights out of people. And then I'll have a big Night Tyrant. It just rolls big dice. We'll see how that goes. I do want to run the, I know it's like points-wise a terrible idea, but the big piece of pottery, the, what is it, Malignifier? Hold on one second. I got a box. Miasmic Malignifier. It's so funny that I have to keep getting up. So I have this desk set up over here, and like all my painting stuff's on the other side. But this is how we get to do this, so that's fun. All right, looking at this guy, his head is this color too. I just feel like running a big piece of earthenware kiln thing, and I like the fact that in a lot of the books, the Death Guard routinely show up and then build something really screwed up where they're at that you have to deal with. So yeah, I guess I'm making a very lore-based army, sort of. But most of what I've read, they shell the daylights out of you. They build some crazy thing that causes plague and sadness. And Typhus gets some funny lines. Yeah, and I love the Tyrant model. Like, it is just, I mean, I like all the knights, but the Tyrant is just like crazy cool looking too. It's massive. And it's got some big weaponry. Look at his whole head. Oh, Typhus, I wish you would dry. After this color, I could probably set this guy aside and see how my boy's settling. Oh, I gotta make some decisions on this. Get under there. Yeah, this bug's gonna be happy. If I get all his parts. Yeah, I've definitely gotten to the point where I want to paint a bunch of armies. I'd be like, it's going to be my retirement plan if I ever get to retire. Just sit around, paint models all day, play games on the weekends. But I have a long way to go before that's possible. Yeah. I think, relatively speaking, this guy can probably sit for a few. Oh, I always find funny little spots that I didn't paint well. It's my favorite part of how small the models are and how dumb and not great eye-sighted I am. As I go back and I see stuff afterwards. There's a lot of magic, though, that you really don't realize till you get into painting these models. Like, there's a lot of really cool stuff about how the paint cures. Oh, that's barely on there. You stuck? Oh, you're kind of loosey-goosey. All right, we'll just keep going on there. Finding out the next day when you crack a look at a model you had worked on the night before and it looks better than when you left it because the paints had time to like settle in. Really, really interesting. All right. So I'm going to give this guy a wee bit of Balthasar gold because I forgot his gold stuff on his front. Exactly my point. I often forget things and then come back. But my poxwalkers definitely looked better the day after. Absolutely. I was terrified of them when I put them down. I was actually kind of like disappointed. And then you look at them the next day and like everything sort of settles in. Colors blend the right way. You're like, oh, that looks pretty neat. All right. Maybe I'll give you a little shiny buckle before I cover you in wash. Yeah, I love the idea of just having a huge knight tromping around with a bunch of little guys underneath. Here we go. Agrex. And I'm not going to overdo it. I'll just use a bit of it. Because this guy's getting the slimy green afterwards. That's where the real magic happens. Just dab some of this into the crevices. I would love to have the opportunity to work on a Warhammer video game. It's one franchise I haven't worked with ever. Worked with Tolkien. Worked with Game of Thrones. I've worked with some big stuff out there. The amount of stuff you could do. 40K universe is just pretty epic. That's the whole thing. Everything's just epic. It's one of my favorite parts. It's like ships that are kilometers long, populations of whole cities by our understanding in them. Weapons that destroy whole planets. Takes a while, but they do it. Everything's just massive. It's going to be dangerous when I do it anyway. Boop. All right, now we're going to grind the daylights out of this guy. Yeah, I do have to get my button gear. I think, I don't remember who it is in this combat patrol, but I have the box right here. It is, I think I have everything but the, Biologus Putrefier is the last thing in the combat patrol that I need to get together. All right, this stuff is my fave. The mud. I have this dish just for this stuff. For ships, buildings, LVTPs, and etc. This stuff is just gross. I love it. It goes on all my Death Guard. I'll make this guy nice and gnarly. I don't think I'm going to actually be able to put the maggots on this dude tonight. I don't think it's possible. Sorry if you had to listen to me shaking this paint. It's pretty gross. But it's awesome. Oh yeah, griming them up. Oh yeah, now you're getting handsome. Yeah, you fought in the trenches, buddy. Grime on your head. Yeah, it's a tough day at the office for you. Oh yeah, look at that. That's delicious. You look like you fought all day, friend. It's a shame you didn't keep your head. You could have joined the crew. Maybe you still can. We can put it back on there. All right. Get this going. Scooch that aside. All right. I may have to take 5. I think I will. Is this model even on here? It's kind of attached. The head's kind of attached. I'm going to step out for 1 minute. I'll be back in a couple. I've topped up my tea. All right, maggot time. Everybody's favorite time. Yeah, I did look a bit at Etsy. There are some really awesome and cool people on there doing stuff. This guy that got me that makes maggots is really awesome. He's got some mushrooms too, which I think I'm going to pick up as well. But I find myself looking for gun parts and other stuff, and struggling to find it. So I think I am going to start going back to Etsy a bit. There you go. Nothing better than wet paint, glue, and yeah, you can't even see that hole where his head socket's supposed to go in. Look at that. Of course, I'm not even anywhere near the camera. I've got to get better at this. Oh yeah, little maggots in there. You guys are so happy. Found a home. Yeah, I mean, the thing is with Plague Marines is that I realize it's been simplified a lot in 10th, but like they have so many different weapon configs on them, and then sometimes you're like, oh, I need a bolter because of the rules. And that can be kind of a challenge. So yeah, we got some little maggots. 3 little maggots in there. You know what? I'll put another one on. I love these maggots, and I've got tons of them. Why not use them? I'll put a couple on the ground, too. There you go. Look at that. Crushed it. This base is becoming absolutely extra. Spent more time basing Typhus with this model than I spent last night making that guy. Oh, whimsy. All right, that stuff can sit there. Gently put this guy down. And I'll drop some gravel. Good suggestion. Hey, Quartz. You know, this brings it around full circle. This is literally the only reason, well, there's 2 reasons that I have this channel. I'm glad you like the videos. When I got started, I was like, man, I am so new to this. I'm just going to show people how I'm trying to do it. Because it's a lot to learn, and it's pretty scary. I'm not a very artistic person. I'm a very design-oriented person, but not an artistic person. But I'm like, yeah, I'm going to do this. And I figured someone else probably out there like me, and a lot of the videos that I watched, everyone was so good that that I wasn't really learning. And also, like, the stuff's intimidating sometimes. I know that people aren't trying to be that way, but like some of the artists out there are so good. And I subscribe to them, and like I support plenty of them on Patreon and stuff. But I was like, yeah, but that's not where I'm at. And I know that I'm gonna just learn to do this and make some mistakes. So Quartz, thank you so much, because I actually do this because I figured someone else is probably gonna be getting started too, and maybe they'll be inspired by someone who's not too afraid to make their own mistakes too. That's awesome. You made my day. I'm running out of space on this page. I don't know how I'm going to get in there with that basing material at this point. This is the most fabulous overdone model of all time. So I've used an entire Ultramarine in the base. I've got locally sourced artisanal maggots. Got some gravel in there. I used glitter for all this warp juice and bug stuff. God. That's what you get when you're a warlord. Special treatment. All right. I'm going to let this dry again. Where can I hide this guy where he's still in the shot? I got to be more camera savvy. I'll let you just watch. There you go. Go back to this guy while he dries. Grab my reference bug. But yeah, thanks a bunch, Quartz. It's a lot of fun, and demystifying it a little bit, getting out there. It's not like I only make mistakes. I actually do some stuff that I'm like deeply proud of. But I am all for like going out and just learning new stuff. I don't know if this is the yellow I used, but I'm gonna try it. We're gonna find out. And then the other thing, I said there was 2 reasons why I started this channel. The other reason is that it keeps me honest and motivated. It's real. I have no time to do this. I legit have no time to be doing what I'm doing right now. That's not what I used last time. I have a job that's pretty intensive, making video games, so I don't get to complain about it per se, but I'm not sure if this is the color I used either. Yeah, I guess it is. But that takes up a lot of my time. I have a family. I just got married a few years ago and started having kids, and they take up they're awesome. They're dope. But with little kids running around, I mean, case in point, I couldn't start this tonight until the kids got in bed, which is fine. But I'm absolutely exhausted right now. Like, honestly, I'm normally in bed right now. On a weeknight, I would be. It is a monster weeknight. I gotta see if I have a different yellow over here. All right, I know why it looks darker. It's because this guy was primed with a spray of white over the top. That's all right. We're just gonna keep on rocking. But between doing painting videos, lore videos, video game videos, having anyone actually watch your stuff is so motivating. And you just meet really, really rad people. It's also teaching me a lot about editing, which in a previous lifetime I did know stuff about, but back then we used actual tape. So that's how long ago I studied broadcast and editing in college. So doing everything digitally. I love photography, so it's helping me with that. It's a whole bunch of hobbies all at once. Oh, this looks like absolute garbage. I think that's going to need contrast over it. I don't know how I'm going to repair that. That looks like mud. Maybe it was Bad Moon Yellow. All right, well, I have to do this consistently. If you're going to screw up, at least have some bilateral symmetry to how you screw it up. It really does not look good right now. I'm in my element. It's like, oh man, I don't like what I just painted. It must be me. Yeah, got underneath there. Get underneath these guys. It is an endless depth of learning stuff, doing all these things. Lifetime learner. All right, we'll call that a base coat, and then I'll hit that with some contrast. And pray. Okay, I could do better on the other side. I'm also a very private person. It's like a major leap for me to have this weird screen in the corner. Not my thing. Over and check this out. But it does look like a nid, but it's an extanid. It's not a Warhammer thing. It is a mini from my kids' D&D campaign. It was a gift that they got. So it's a really cool model, but it's not Warhammer. But I am painting it as a favor to my kid. Based on how the paint job's going, I'm not sure how much of a favor that is yet. But they like everything I do. Their love is unconditional. They're not allowed to choose, and I love them for it. Yeah, I might be apologizing for this later. But yeah, it's a really cool bug. I'm gonna try do it like that. All right, so the tail. Oh, I will keep going. Thank you very much. That's very kind. Yeah, I think if I have one quality, it's that I'm kind of dumb fearless, which is good. It is good. I don't care if I mess up. I've been around too long to worry about that kind of thing. Yeah, it's going to be gnarly, but whatever. Tail's going to get reddish. So I'll just continue this here. Oh my god, that looks garbagey. It's that base. It's that base. Ugh. I think I need a different yellow. I don't think I'm going to back my way out of this one. All right, I'm going to set that guy aside. Just like pedal to the metal trying to get that thing right. I need a different yellow. Or I need to base coat it in white or something. Yeah, I will just keep going. It is fun. I learn. I make progress. I meet cool people. Give this little guy a jiggle here and there. Yeah, he's on there, kinda. Alright. I think I hit those maggots with some Seraphim Sepia. All right. I go through so much of this stuff. Bones. All kinds of stuff gets this. Takes anything white and makes it just have a little bit of shade to it. Gets in the nooks and crannies and makes things gross. Oop. He's moving. He's not stuck on there well. All right. Well, folks, I think that means I got to glue this guy a bit and actually let him dry before I proceed, because I got guys that are wobbling all over the place on here. As much as I want to just keep pressing, I'm going to do... It's probably blurry as all hell. Let me move a couple things around here on this screen. There we go. I'm going to let this guy sit. And it is past my bedtime, so I'm going to call it a night. Maybe I'll show up in a few nights or tomorrow or something and actually put the basing material in. But he's got some cool gravel rock things. He's got a whole ultramarine that's been separated. He's got maggots pouring out of him. He's got some ultramarine's head in his hands. He's in pretty good shape. I think I am going to call it a night, or maybe I'll play some game for a little bit later. But it's been a pleasure. I do appreciate folks hanging out. And we'll see you next time. Take care.